Welcome, everyone. Tonight, we are talking about something that every new dispatcher must understand, every owner operator better understand. And if you've been in this business, well, you can learn something new. So, as an instructor who is teaching freight dispatch students, also who helps with safety and compliance, I want to make sure that before you're going to open company, before you're going to start dispatching, you understand what is factoring, what are the requirements, why do you need it, and also what happens if your broker is approved or not approved. And of course, when you're negotiating an amazing rate, sometimes remember, if the broker is not approved, this doesn't make sense to even book in that load. So, who can help us better with understanding invoicing, NOAs, UCC filings, payment timeline that we have to deal in tracking? Then, representative from RTS. So, I'm gonna bring to our studio our guest. Actually, I've been working with Patricia for so many years. She is our partner. She's a person who stopped by in Chicago a few weeks ago. We also got some trucks from her, some pants and some cups. So when you stop in our office, we're going to share with you. So let's welcome her. Let's bring her in and we're going to pick on her brains, also ask questions, and we see the reality. Welcome, Patricia. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Well, we're gonna be not easy on you today because we want the truth about factoring.
I would not expect that from you.
We want actually to see what's new with RTS because I know you guys went through rebranding. And of course, we want to bring the knowledge for new dispatchers, for people who are already in business, or maybe for people who are looking to go to the new factoring company, maybe sign up. So to make it easier, I actually created some points right here. And I would like for you to go one by one question. And in this case, everybody who watches us, they can read and we can not jump from one topic to another. So let's start. What is the freight factoring? How does it help trucking company manage cash flow?
Freight factoring is receivable financing. It is a program that helps you as a trucking company, as a truck owner, as an owner operator to get paid for your loads that you have delivered within 24 to 48 hours. Typically, when you deliver the load, your broker is going to take anywhere from 30 to 45 days. That is a long time to wait for the payment when you still have your overhead payments. You still have to pay for your truck. You still have to pay for your fuel, for your insurance. So this is where factoring comes in, and we allow you to get paid for those invoices right away, so you can keep on the road.
So when we're gonna ask you from 1 to 100, how is important cash flow for trucking company?
Well, I think that's 100. That's the one of the most important things, because the cash flow is what's going to run your business, what's going to keep you running.
Okay, let's go to question number 2. How quickly can carrier get paid after submitting the invoice and proof of delivery? You kind of answered it, but let's cut into like timing, by what time he needs to submit, and maybe other things that we need to pay attention to on how quickly can they get paid.
Well, we try to get you paid as quickly as possible. Our cutoff is 12 noon. If you submit your invoices by noon, you can select an option to get paid same day. But typically we said that we guarantee 24 to 48-hour payments. Sometimes we need additional time to make sure that all the paperwork is in order, that there was no issues with the delivery. So there might sometimes be slow delays, but we strive to get you paid, let's say, within 24 hours.
Okay, so just guys remember, there is time where you have to submit. And one more time, it was what, 11 a.m. or 12 p.m.
It is noon. It is 12 noon central.
Central Time. Okay. So if you submit by 12 p.m. Central, you should get money next day. Question right here. Can the driver do it also from his phone? Let's say he's an owner operator. He has his POD now. Everything is clean. No OS and Ds. Everything's perfect. Can he do it right there from the phone, or does he need to go to his laptop?
That's the wonderful part about our RTS app, that you actually can upload your invoices right there from your phone. You can take a picture of your BOL, right after you have delivered. I've had carriers submit their invoices when they were still sitting at the dock after being unloaded, and they were able to submit their documents. And I mean, you can even select and get paid within a couple of hours from submitting the payment.
Okay. So now you guys know this is not that hard. You don't have to be a brain surgeon. Click, 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 submit from your phone. Good job. I like it. Let's go to the next question. What fees should carrier expect, and what determines their factoring rate? So before you answer, let's kind of break it to brand new company, one truck, semi truck. Brand new company, one truck, box truck. Company who've been in business and their value is already kind of, let's say, 50K to 100K, and mega carrier who has few $1,000,000.
Well, the factoring fee typically is the only thing that you can expect. You can there's an optional fee if you want to express payment. If you want to get paid faster than the standard pay, you have the option of paying extra and getting paid sooner. However, the factoring fee is the only fee that you expect, and our fees do depend on your volume. So, as Alex mentioned, a small one truck company, doing a smaller volume, can expect a different rate than a mega company that's doing multi-million dollars, or however much in a monthly volume. We do present those rates and the volume tiers to you at the time when you are signing an agreement, so you know exactly what you can expect. And then also, if you grow, if you add trucks, if you increase your volume, you don't have to call and ask for your rates to be reviewed. You automatically have those rates built in into your contract.
So Patricia mentioned all the tiers, right? You don't have to say, oh, this month I had 20,000. Oh, this month I had 30. So automatically it's gonna increase or decrease. So since we answered that, let's say, do you have a minimum requirement?
Well, we don't really have a minimum requirement. We do have an expectation of a truck doing at least $10,000. There are different volume tiers. Based on that, the rate is going to be higher if you do not hit the $10,000, and then it just goes down after that.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Does RTS require a long-term contract? What should carrier know about termination and automatic renewals? And I want you to be very specific, very direct, because it's a lot of misrepresentation. People give a bad reputation because they don't really want to tell us honestly what happened. So let's talk about this.
That's very true. The contracts and the contracts renewals and terminations, I think, is a big thing here in the industry. And not all of the carriers understand that most factoring agreements, and I'm going to speak specifically about RTS. Our standard contract is 12 months. We might ask for a longer commitment if we are putting extra perks or extra things in there. And so we're asking for a longer commitment in exchange to that. However, all those contracts do have auto renewal clause, so they are going to automatically extend for the same term unless you provide your written notice within 60 to 90 days prior to that agreement expiring. So you have to know when you sign your agreement, and then if you don't want it to auto renew, if you want to cancel, or if you want to if you want to make any changes, you need to let us know in writing 60 to 90 days prior.
Okay. So let's go to the next question. Hopefully now everybody understands. It's a contract, right? And usually contracts, they have the writing in them and you need to read every page. And if you do not read them, then ask Patricia, ask me before you sign. And if you want to know does it take for you to terminate, if you decided to go to better offer, because everybody's going to promise you something better, a lot of times it's not the truth. Before you jump into going into another agreement, first let's see what it's going to cost you, and second, we can always sit down and see why are you looking to change, right? Because as i
Absolutely.
as I believe, and guys, I don't really represent anybody else. I've been with RTS for a long time. I do believe they don't pay me for this, but I do believe they are one of the best. They have a good presence, it's easy, and I believe that their contracts are very straightforward. And if you're in business, you should understand that. So let's stop all that misrepresentation. Oh, they charge me, they did not pay me. We're gonna go why sometimes you're not gonna get paid in the next question. But let's continue. So, what is the difference between recourse and non-recourse factoring? And which options does RTS offer?
This seems to me is the biggest misconception in the transportation and the factoring world in particular. Recourse and non-recourse. So recourse is when we keep the invoice open for a certain amount of time. It's typically 90 days, and if the invoice is not paid by the broker by that time, it is going to be charged back to the carrier, meaning we will take the money back that we had advanced you for that load. There are companies out there that offer that say that it's non-recourse factoring. We do also have that option. However, that is typically a bankruptcy protection that only covers you for selected loads that have been have been delivered with the selected brokers, and those brokers do have to file bankruptcy. Otherwise, you are still, at the end of the day, you're still liable for your load. So if there's any issues with paperwork, if there's any issues with a claim, or with if the broker just disappears, well, you are still responsible for that. We are going to do everything in our power to collect those funds, because we do not want to not get paid. We want to get paid as much as we want you to get paid. But ultimately, it is the load falls back on you.
Okay. So let me ask you also this. Well, we're going to talk about credit right now, right? So, as a new dispatcher, as a seasoned dispatcher, or any owner, why is it so crucial to come back to your portal and don't just estimate, oh, I've been working, let's say, with TQL for a year. I've been doing loads for this broker. Why is it so crucial? And can we go through some of this explanation, special and that F, and of course the black triangle. So can we explain to everybody why rating is important? I know that some factoring they simply choose 90 to 95%, 95 to 100. Some simply have approved, not approved. You have a little bit more here. So ABC, we don't have to explain, of course. If I'm pro dispatcher, do I want to book most of my load with the A brokers? Yes. C can work sometimes, but can you explain to us from your side as an RTS representative?
Well, it is, first of all, it is crucial for you to check the broker each time you book a load with them, is because, I mean, as we know, this industry is very volatile. There are a lot of changes. Companies come and go. So you can't assume that because somebody paid you last month that that nothing has changed. Our credit department works very hard on analyzing all the pay trends and working on, keeping you up to date with all the trends with the brokers. So this is to prevent you from booking a load and not getting paid, working with a rated brokers. So as Alex said, ABC rated brokers, they're automatically approved. Those are the customers that we have the data that supports the fact that there should not be any issues, that they have good financial standing, and that you're approved to work with them. D-rated brokers are brokers whose rating is a little shaky. We would not be as confident in them as we are in ABC rated brokers. Now, there are situations where we might make an exception and allow those brokers to be factored. F-rated, I-rated brokers, those are the brokers that we already have information knowing that there is something going on, that we do not have confidence that you will pay, and that we are not willing to take a risk of paying you for those for those loads. And I mean, we would not advise for you to work with them because the probability of there being an issue is high. And then, as you said, there is the black triangle. It is a customer that they may have been approved in the past, that may have been really good. However, we have not had any experiences with them lately, so we would advise to call and check, so maybe we can do some more digging and find out if what the carrier is doing right now.
And F and I mean, they in red. We ever talking to those brokers as they have a chance to improve with you, or they kind of on a black book for RTS forever?
Well, that really, yes and no. That this it is on a case to case basis. Our credit department has their trade secrets that they were probably that they are checking, they're talking, they're analyzing everything and making sure that we are looking at this on a case to case basis.
And of course, if you guys gonna have RTS, you can go on the portal. And I like that you guys even answer the questions here. For example, how the RTS rating is calculated, right? So there's a lot of things going behind this. It's not just like Patricia decide, well, today this broker is going to be C. Tomorrow I might give him B. So can you tell people how much go behind all of these ratings and credit check? Do you have like a team? Do you have a department? Do you have software solutions? Because I mean, sometimes people say that you might just have a personal relationships with TQL. That's why you give them A. I don't even know if they are A or B. And maybe you don't like CH Robinson now because they go through all this stuff. But it was just a joke, guys. You know that I am sarcastic. But tell everybody, do you have actually departments who work on this every day?
Absolutely, we have a team of credit analysts that they analyze the trends and broker pays. Our credit system is actually based solely on our experiences with that broker. So that means that we do not really take somebody's word. Oh, they're paying me good, so we're going to take that into consideration. We look at how those brokers pay us, how fast they pay. For the invoices that we purchase, what how are they conducting their business? We looked at their financial data, and there is really a lot that I am not even aware of what is going on behind the scenes. But we have a really great credit team, and we have full confidence that they have the best data out there.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go to the next question. Can a new attorney or a one-track company qualify for RTS factoring?
Of course, yes. We work with companies of any size, with starting from one truck to multi truck fleets. We work with multitude of different equipment, box trucks, hot shots, regular semi trucks, flatbeds, drive-ins, anything in between. As far as a new trucking company, yes, you absolutely do qualify. We actually do even have a special promotional rates that we can offer you at the very beginning to help you with the just at the start, start you with the lower rate for the first couple of months to give you time to ramp up, to get going. And and then after you have a couple of months, you we have a better idea of how you work, who you work with, and what your volume is. That's when the volume tiers that I've mentioned before would kick in.
But since we're talking about trucking business, we know that there's a lot of fraud scammers and people who get in the business, get out. What would be a red flag that you're gonna say, unfortunately, yeah, seems like you have a new attorney. What would be a red flag for you to say no? Is that maybe a personal credit of the owner? Is that maybe because they already had few different MCs? What can be like that harsh, no, sorry, but we're not gonna really work with you?
Well, there's a lot of different things that go into that. Our legal department does their due diligence, and they check. I mean, the one big red flag that's automatically going to be a no is if you have any liens or UCCs from different other companies that have not been resolved. That doesn't mean that you might not be able to work with us. We might need to work to get them resolved, but if we are not able to, that is unfortunately something that is going to be
Okay. And when we're gonna answer that question a little bit later, what does it mean? Yeah, that filing. But let's go in order. So we already know that you check. We already answered that. Here's the thing. I am a dispatcher. I check the credit. I am pro dispatcher. I booked the load on Monday. Somehow, when it was delivered on Friday, let's say it was a long haul from California to New Jersey, I'm going to submit, and within this 4 or 5 days, that credit went instead of C or B, it went to D. What is going to happen? Well, again, as a dispatcher, I did check. Is that going to affect my invoicing, or is RTS is going to stick to like, well, you did check, we have proof of that, we're going to deal with it?
Again, this is not a black and white answer because it really will depend on why that broker has been downgraded. But in those situations, I would definitely recommend to speak to our customer service representatives, and we will look at that particular situation and at that particular case.
Okay. So, guys, you don't have to get excited. You just have to call, explain, and see how both of you can work it out, because they also interested in not losing you as a customer and help you. This is their job, and your job is to make sure that you check that credit. Again, nowadays in this economy, remember, it's not only carriers who trying to survive, a lot of brokers. So that's why this is a part of daily routine. Let's go to the next one. Oh, see, we just had, and we hold this. So RTS did not approve the broker. So now we're talking about the dispatcher who did not log in. He still booked that load with a D, I, or F. So what's going to happen in this case?
What will happen is RTS will not factor the load, meaning we are not going to advance you the funds. However, we're still going to bill it out for you. We're going to send it to the broker, and if when the payment comes in, we're still going to forward it to you. The difference with you doing it that way versus billing it yourself is we're still billing it for you. So RTS's reputation is still behind that, and I think a lot of brokers, when they see that the invoice comes from the factoring company, they are less likely to not pay it, or they're going to put a higher priority on those loads because there is a bigger audience that actually sees how they're paying, and it affects more than just the one particular carrier.
Okay. Well, guys, if you are watching us, please ask the question, put the likes, hearts, and tell us where you're watching us from. But we're gonna continue. Actually, I'm in Chicagoland, and Patricia is in
Overland Park, Kansas.
Kansas.
That's where our headquarters is.
Where's the headquarters? And while they are growing, I planning to fly there one day to see the beautiful new building. But we are here to educate. So let's go. Does not pay, file bankruptcy, disputed the invoice. We kind of answered that prior, right? So RTS is gonna do your best to help them, right?
Right. And if you do, as I mentioned, we do have a non-recourse option. It's usually at a little higher rate for those. And in those situations, if the broker filed bankruptcy and the all the other stipulations were met, we would cover that invoice in this situation. But if broker doesn't pay, especially if there's a dispute on the invoice, unfortunately, that actually we're going to need also sometimes your assistance in getting the resolve, because at the end of the day, we are your financial partner. We are not a party to any of the contracts that you have between you and the brokers. So all those disputes would ultimately have to be resolved between you guys.
Okay, look, we have people from Massachusetts. I believe we have people somewhere from Philippines or PHP, whatever it is. We have, we all probably Philippines because there's morning there. Well, let's answer this question before we go to mine. There is a lot of fraud loads out there. So how can I check with RTS if this broker I'm taking load is legitimate? Well, we were just showing. So when we go back to our facts, right? So right here, I'm going to show you one more time. Let me remove this and I'm going to add this to stage. So when you have RTS factoring, you're gonna go to their portal and you're gonna put MC, right? You're gonna search. You're going to put MC of the broker, their USDT or company name, and that's what's gonna show up. That's how you're gonna know. That's why it's so important to have factoring and team behind. And you have to just do what you have to do as a dispatcher or the owner of the company.
And and one thing I could add to that is, especially if it's a new broker, it's somebody that you don't really have a lot of experience with, and you are not 100% sure if they are legitimate. You have maybe the rate confirmation, you have some information. You can always call, you can always check, and we can take a look at everything. We actually have a lot of training, a lot of resources to spot fraud, to spot situations that are outside of the norm, that we can actually help safeguard you a little more.
Actually, that's what it was a question from my current student right now, Diana Cherna from Michigan, on Saturday when I was teaching class, because we were going through all this and how important it is. And she said, so if I have the load and I contact the RTS, how fast are they going to approve them? So let's give the realistic answer to that. I personally said it's not going to happen within that 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can prepare that and maybe work with them tomorrow or in few days, but maybe I am wrong.
Again, it is a on a case to case basis. We might have more information than what the credit is showing when you call in. If you have the rate confirmation, if you have some of that information, we can take a look and advise you. But sometimes, as you said, we might need additional time to do some additional research and check some more information before we give you a confident answer whether or not we would advise to take
But
the look.
from my own experience, well, again, you can kind of rebuild the relationship for the future. But if that's a load which you are hoping you're gonna book right now, well, it's not gonna happen. And another thing is, usually that new broker is gonna promise you so many things and a quick pay and giving you upfront payment after you send BOL. A lot of times when that load is sounds too good and the rate is higher, well, for me personally, it's a red flag, and that's what I teach. So without the real approval, I am not gonna buy in that, oh, we are new, but we are good, we're gonna pay you. So unfortunately, I'm gonna stick to my knowledge, I'm gonna stick to my expertise, and I'm gonna say, well, call me after we get approval. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Other minimum volume requirements, reserves, hidden fees, or rules about which invoices must be factored. We kind of answer here, but let me ask you this. We have some companies who have, let's say, food trucks, and they have Amazon account. Four trucks are going to be doing, let's say, drive, and or maybe two trucks are doing Amazon. Three trucks are going to be doing regular loads with a drive-in or reefer or flatbed. Since Amazon pays them directly with no fees within 7 days, can we still offer them factoring for 3 trucks that are going to be dealing with brokers from spot market?
Yes, we are able to exclude certain brokers, certain customers, especially if we know upfront that those are the customers that you work with directly. We are able to exclude that and factor your remaining volume. With that being said, of course, the more volume you exclude, the higher your rate might be, as our rates are typically volume based. We also, with certain customers, even Amazon or typical brokers that might offer lower rates for QuickBase, we might be able to offer you a special rate just for those customers to either match or help you with factoring the volume.
Okay, well, sounds good. Let's continue to the next question. So, beyond factoring, what other services does RTS offer?
Well, we are striving to be your one-stop shop as far as a lot of transportation needs. We do have factoring. We do offer fuel discounts, fuel cards. We have obviously the credit monitoring. We do have insurance services. We have our software, RTS. Pro Transport, we also have a load board that with our sister brokerage, Ryan Transportation, and we do have equipment financing as well.
Okay, since we're talking about this, let me add to the page. I need to remove this really fast so they can see how for example, load board, which is going to be free, correct, Patricia? It's going to be free if a carrier has RTS factoring. Is it free or there?
Absolutely, yes, yes. It is a free private load board. It is those are the only the loads that are offered by Ryan Transportation. So it is the load that it's limited to this our one broker, and then you have exclusive access to our loads before they are being posted on DAT on other load boards.
And of course, you can email or you can simply quote here if you know how much you need, right? And what else can we show from the portal since I'm here? Fuel. Let's talk about fuel. So let's say we have a newer dispatcher and also owner operators who use your fuel card. A lot of times they have your fuel cards, but they do not understand how important it is to put, let's say, their route, right? And see exactly what discount is, because I do believe it can change drastically. You can just go across this, across one truck stop to another and you can save. Should they check daily or should they just go to the places that they are used to?
You should check daily, because though this, like I said, the discounts do vary. There might be special situations when there's better discounts, or between different stations. We do have our Pilot and Flying J is our primary partner, but we also have a long list of smaller stations across the country that offer you varying discounts. So it is always good to check. It's always good to see where you're going to go, and then you can actually find what the discount is, and sometimes maybe even more important than the discount is actually what price you're actually going to pay.
Okay, so that's something dispatchers can do as well, right? What about all of this tires, repairs? Is that just extra information, or do you have partnership with those shops, and because you're RTS client you can give extra discount?
Yes, you do get extra discounts. We do have a shop and tire program that is also part of your overall package here with RTS. You can always contact us, and we can give you a special code for Southern Tire Mart, which is who you will be contacting in order to get your repairs, your tires, your roadside assistance, and
Look at this, there's like 40% off. That's a big discount. And so they have to call you to get the code, or they automatically can see in their phone app?
You do get a code from us that you can provide to the shop so they know that you are part of the program.
Okay, let's look at some, let's say, repairs. We can also save on oil change, 25%. So this is a lot of things that you can actually look and see. Let's talk about, do dispatchers have to become an accountant? Do they have to sign up for QuickBooks? How easy it is going to be for dispatcher who is going to provide this as an extra service to do invoicing in your portal?
You absolutely do not need an advanced degree to be able to do that. I kind of already touched on that, that you can actually even upload invoices on our app, but also our desktop version is very easy, very user friendly. It takes probably less than 30 seconds to upload an invoice. And also, you do have very easy and quick access to a lot of reports, a lot of information. Um, with your invoices, you can check your account. You can see when you submit your invoices, you can see what stage is in that. You can tell when somebody has started working on your purchase. You can see when it's being approved, so you can you can find out if there is when you might expect your funds. We also notify you through the portal when there is something missing, when there's something that we need on an invoice. You can actually click on it and you can see everything. We have a full transparency here for you with our reporting and with our process.
So I just share in the portal, and of course I just put whatever, type some letters. When I put RXO, it's actually found the RXO as a broker. Let's say I have this PO number, and this is a load for $6,890. So here I will need to attach. Well, of course I will need to attach rate confirmation. I will need to attach POD, proof of delivery, if I had any lumper receipt. If I had anything else that has to be reimbursed, I can simply attach and click. So please, guys, do not sign up for all those QuickBooks classes. Do not think that it's going to be so hard. It's actually going to take you, what, 30 seconds. And from my personal opinion, I believe that Pro Dispatcher, well, we have to have access to carriers factoring, right? If we dispatch them. So first, I'm checking on the credit. I'm going to be using that free extra load board. But also, the moment I book that load, I already going to create. I'm not going to invoice, but I am going to create that load. I'm going to assign to the truck, so it's easier for me to do reporting, correct? And then when load is get delivered, I'm just simply go back, add POD. If something changed, I will delete rate confirmation and put revised rate confirmation and click. So like you said, a lot of times you're going to reach out. If I missed maybe page of BOL, right? Let's say it was 1 of 5 and I only attached 3. Well, are you going to pay us automatically? No, you're going to reach out and say, hey, whatever, Alex Transportation, you did not submit the full POD. Maybe there was a lumper. Let's talk about this. You as a factoring, you don't really know if that lumper was given to me by the broker. Do you have that happen all the time? I submitted the load for 5,000. Let's say it was not a revised rate confirmation. And then your carrier calls you and say, why I was short paid $200. Does it happen? Because they simply did not attach that lumper receipt, right? And they think it's your
Absolutely.
fault. They think it's not
you
paying.
You need to submit all your paperwork, like as Alex said, all the pages of POD, because it's mainly the broker. They want to see all the paperwork because they want to make sure that there is no extra information, extra notes on those remaining pieces of paper. So we want to make sure that we have all the documents up front, so then we are not dealing with payment delays or issues after the invoice has been paid and we're trying to collect the funds.
Let's go back also to reality. Let's say we are dealing with detention or layover or both detention and layover. And broker tells us, let's say it's an expensive load because prices nowadays are not $300 load. So it's 5,000 load. and the broker tells me I cannot give you revised confirmation until my client is going to approve, and usually it takes 10 days, 2 weeks. Should the carrier wait 2 weeks and don't submit that invoice, or should they submit and they resubmit to the difference? Because a lot of people cannot wait not to have that $5,000, $10,000 for 10 days.
Well, you can definitely submit the invoice as is without the detention added, and then submit the revised documentation once you get the detention. However, we are only going to pay for the load once. So once we've already purchased the line haul, we are not going to pay you up front for that additional funds for the detention. We're going to wait until the broker pays us, and then we're going to transfer the overage, the amount that we have been paid over the invoice to your account.
Okay. But do you agree to survive? They don't have to wait 2 weeks or 10 weeks. They'd better get that 5,000, because maybe that detention is not ever going to be approved, because again, there is a lot of things that dispatcher has to do. You have to start detention, you have to have in and out time, you have to prove that you were not late. So sometimes dispatcher think that they will get detention, but then you receive the email, unfortunately you're not getting detention because you guys were late half hour, you never started detention, you never have in and out times. So my suggestion for all of dispatchers, well, first make sure you do your job correct. But if you really depend on that money, don't wait 10 days, don't wait 2 weeks. Submit and then resubmit.
And then revise it.
Yes, and of course, as Patricia said, nobody's gonna pay you up front, because RTS is not in charity, and they are not like Santa's here. Oh, here is an extra $300. We believe you're gonna receive it. Yes, they're gonna pay you after they're gonna receive that extra $300. Since we're talking about short pays, what is the biggest problem with those short pays? Like, what do you see? Is that like missing BOLs? Is that like bad pictures? Or why a lot of brokers will short pay carrier?
As you mentioned, yes, the quality of the paperwork, the missing paperwork, those are probably the main reasons the invoices might be short paid. But also sometimes, and I think it's very important for you as a carrier, as a dispatcher, to read the rate confirmations very carefully, because sometimes there are special requirements that you have in order to get full pay. You have to submit the POD within a certain amount of time after delivery. There are sometimes special stipulations that if they are not met, then the broker can actually cut your pay.
Well, let's go back to that submitting POD after delivery. So a lot of people think, since I have RTS, it is RTS responsibility to submit that POD within 24 hours, 48 hours. Well, your responsibility is to pay them within 24, 48 hours. But a lot of times you don't submit that POD. And this is a big misconception, and the thing that dispatcher think that they should not do. In my training, I said, this is your job. The moment you deliver the load, I don't even care if the rate confirmation tells you we want to see PODs right away. This is a part of building a relationship. Hey, Patricia, we deliver your load. Please see attached POD. The load is clean, no SNDs. When are you going to have the next load? That's what I teach my students for years. And I think that people should understand this is not RTS responsibility to read all the stipulations, correct? Or, for example, driver was not tracking, right? Driver stopped the tracking. Well, now you're getting short pay. On rate confirmation, it was $5,000. But because you did not track, RTS first paid you $5,000. 30 days later, let's say whatever, TQL short pay you $300 because you stopped tracking. Well, everybody's trying to blame who? RTS, right? They say, well, you probably did not submit paperwork. But in reality, whose job it is to make sure they read rate confirmation and they go with a contract? Please say it loud and clear. Say it loud and clear, because I want them to hear finally.
I think there are two different things that we're talking about here, because you as a dispatcher, you submit the load to the broker that actually gave you the load. You are showing them that the load has been delivered, and that they, that it's at, and we as your financial partner, we are submitting that invoice to the billing department for payment. So I think sometimes those two things, get lumped into one, and especially with bigger brokers, those are not the same things. And RTS will submit your paperwork to the billing department within, the same time as we click the approve the invoice, that goes out automatically to the billing department. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the broker that actually gave you the load is going to have that paperwork. Those is completely different people, completely different department, and completely different processes in a lot of situations.
Oh, that's a good point. So let's give an example. For example, TQL. I don't know, maybe they have like 4,000 brokers working for them. So when I book that load, let's say Mike from TQL from Tampa, Florida, and he wants POD, and I'm hoping, well, the RTS already paid me, they submitted, well, like you said, it's went to the billing for the whole TQL. That doesn't mean that he got it in his email, and he needs it because he has a customer. So that's why there's simply just steps that dispatchers have to do every day, and they cannot miss. Same as a check-in credit for the brokers, correct? Let's go to the next one. We are almost done. So we know that we have all this stuff. We check, we talk about this a lot. So we're kind of repeating. We're not going back to this. What happens with a new rating? We already discussed this. Can a dispatcher create and submit invoices for the carrier? Does RTS actually requiring to prove who is submitting invoice, or as long as the carrier trusts his dispatcher and they have login, they can do that?
As a company owner, you do have a admin control over the account. So you are the one who gives the permissions and gives the authorizations to, whether it's your dispatcher, whether it's your accounting, your safety. You control who has access and what information they have access to. So if the person has a login, has legitimate access to the account, they can go in and submit on your behalf.
Okay. After paperwork submitted, can the dispatcher track the invoice and funding status on the app?
Yes, you can. Our app and our desktop version has on the main page, you actually have a status when it shows you that it was submitted, that it's processing, and that it has been approved. So you can see what stage it is. And then, again, if we have any issues with the invoices, you can also see it on the app. If the invoice has been held, if it has been denied, you can see that basically live as we process that. So then you can click on it, you can find out exactly what the issue is.
Also, let's talk about extra kind of duty, which I think that dispatchers should have. And I am going to remove this and just show the report. Aging report. How important it is to understand what it means, this aging report. So what is these days? Why as a dispatcher, as the owner, you should log in and look at dates, how long this invoice been in a system and it's not paid.
It is very important, and this is also, yes, we do collections for you. We do check with brokers. We do communicate to make sure that invoices pay in. But it's very helpful if you, as a company owner or dispatcher, if you see that something is past their days to pay, or it's past due, past the time that you should normally be expecting a payment, to check with a broker, to check with a company to make sure that there is no issues. And also you can actually spot trends or issues with the brokers faster that way.
So would you think like 45 days, it should be kind of a red flag, kind of start watching it and maybe reaching out to the broker and say, well, I see that it's been 45 days, it's not been paid yet, or should we start earlier?
That is the 45 days, probably a good rule of thumb. But also on RTS carrier, you can see what their typical
Mhm.
pay is for the broker. So let's say, you're looking at the broker, they're B rated. You can see that, within the last 90 days, they've been paying on average 25 days. And if you have an invoice that's sitting at 30, 35 days, that should be, kind of a light bulb for you that, that should have already been paid. Why is this not paid within the time that they're normally pay the invoices?
Okay, so that's what we are talking about. So it says, well, first it tells that their average is 39 days. It tells how many invoices they had, right? So what Patricia is saying, well, when you were booking, when you come back, you can always see, well, are they really behind? Should I worry or not? And of course, it's going to be different for every broker, for every situation. Let's go further. And again, if we're going to have kind of similar questions, we're going to skip. Can an independent dispatcher receive their dispatch fee directly from RTS? This has been a question every time in my class. I see it on Facebook, I see it on TikTok. Before you answer, here's my personal opinion. If I'm a dispatcher, an independent dispatcher, I should have honest reputation with my carrier and I should be paid only by carrier. So tell me your opinion and tell me what is RTS actually allow, or if it's even possible to have this.
RTS typically does not pay independent dispatchers or third parties, and that it's mainly because we do have a legal contract with our carrier. We have an obligation to pay carrier for the service that we are providing. And since we are not a party between the carrier and the dispatcher, we don't know if at any given time if if everything is in good standing, if everything is okay, if there might be some disputes or issues or anything, or I mean, the carriers might be changing dispatchers. So there's a lot of things that go into that we are not getting in the middle of, and we have a contract with you as a carrier, and we're processing payments for you.
So that's why I have a lot of students who tell me, well, but I have my friend and she's getting paid from RTS. And I'm like, let me talk to your friend, because I'm telling you that this is another big miss which goes there. Or they say, oh, that's why I don't want to have carriers with RTS, because other factoring pay direct. Guys, this is a business. Nobody wants to be in between, especially where we say, how does RTS, let's just honestly say, let's say RTS and Patricia here, how they can even know, did I do a good job for this load? Do I really earn that, whatever, 4%, 5%, 10%? Why would RTS, Patricia, their department, try to be in the middle and then pay somebody, and then what? How are they going to collect money? So that's why this is actually business, and it should be like that, correct? Yes, we're not in charity. We're not here to guess. We're not here to promise something which cannot be done. But there's a lot of questions about that. Well, we are almost done. Few more questions. Box trucks and sprinter vans. I know you kind of touch up on this, but let's be specific. Why a lot of companies are really going to have a little bit higher fees simply because of what? If they are just sprinter, if they just have one box truck, if they are working with a smaller equipment, because, well, as a dispatcher, I can tell you this, even if you dispatch that type of equipment, you're going to make less money because of the volume, because of the cost of each load. But let's hear your opinion on this, and realistic rates for company with one box truck, even two box trucks, or the sprinter, or whatever they have.
Well, you kind of touched on that it is a lower volume. It is a smaller revenue for us, and we also do have set costs. We do have our overhead, so we need to make sure that we're going to cover our cost out of the carriers that we are factoring. That is that's probably the main reason that those rates are higher. And also, there are some factoring companies that don't like to work with box truck and sprinter vans at all because of the fact that they are not as profitable as your regular semis. So typically, a startup one truck sprinter, you are going to look at the rate of about around 5%, give or take a little bit.
Okay. But in the future, let's say this company is going to grow to 20 box trucks or maybe 50 sprinters. Well, is that going to be possible for them to receive the lower rate? Because again, it's all about
Absolutely.
them, right?
Absolutely. As your volume grows, as you're providing more revenue, then we can always adjust your rates. And you are going to fall into our regular volume brackets.
And one more questions. I know for you it's going to be silly, but that's another myth which is on social media. Because it's a box truck, because it's a sprinter, I will not have the same contract as a big semi truck. Well, can you prove them right or wrong?
Well, the contract is the same. The terms and conditions might be a little different. I mean, as far as like we mentioned, the rate, or there might be a deposit or anything required, especially at the very beginning. But the contract, typically, the majority of the contract, the meat and potatoes is going to be the same.
So there's still a contract, guys. It's a business. I don't care if it's going to be your bike and you're going to be hauling one box. If RTS is going to make that commitment to you, well, it's still going to be a contract. So this is a business. Let's go for the probably few more questions. So how long does it take for you to set up the notice of assignment with a broker for payments? When should the people start the process? Let's say they apply for USDOT today, they still need to activate. Should they wait till the activation when they put the insurance on file, BOC3? Usually it's going to take another month. Or should they kind of start the process after they pay that first fee and prepare for new business?
Well, you can start the process as quickly as you have your authority, your DOT number, and the company is set up. We are not going to activate it, and obviously, we're not going to be able to pay you until you're physically taking loads and everything is active. Your insurance is set up, but you can get everything set up in advance, especially with the notice of assignment. It is helpful sometimes if you're setting up with new brokers to send them notice of assignment as quickly as possible, because it might take a few days sometimes, depending on how quickly the broker is going to confirm to us that they have put the remittance information on file and that they are going to send the payment to RTS.
And since we're talking about notice of assignment, not notice of amazingness, awesomeness, whatever, it's assignment, right? Can you just help the new dispatchers? Because I know that they need to update, for example, certificate of insurance when the new policy come in. Do they have to update notice of assignment every year? Yes or no?
No, you do not have to update it every year. Once it is set up with the broker, typically it is going to stay there as an assigned payee unless something changes. And at that point, the broker will not even change that just because you would tell them to change it. You are going to need to provide an official letter of release from the factoring company or the company that you have been working with in order for them to change that back to paying directly to the carrier or paying to the new factoring company.
So we are kind of talking about buyout process. So let's say we have somebody who has OTR factoring, they wait till contract is ending, they come in with you. So before they can start getting money from you, well, that notice already can be prepared, right? So they can update brokers, right? So they kind of tell them, well, starting, let's say, on September 1st, we're gonna have RTS, because they need to update in a highway, they need to update an RMIS, DAT onboarding, my carrier setup, whatever broker use. So is that gonna be possible for them to do really fast? Do you do that for them, or this is responsibility of dispatcher and owner of the company?
It is mainly responsibility of us as you as a new factoring company, especially as I mentioned before. You really cannot even tell the brokers up front that you're going to change, because they are not effectively going to change anything until that notice of assignment is released with, as you said, OTR. So what we are going to do as your factoring company, we're going to look at your current aging of the current invoices you have with OTR, because we're going to have to purchase them from OTR, close out that account, and then we're going to notify each and every one of those brokers that that assignment has changed, and make sure that they will be paying RTS for not just new loads, but also the outstanding loads that we have purchased from them, because at that point they're becoming our receivable.
Okay. And probably the last question. People do not know what is a UCC filings. Why do you guys do that? Why is it so important to understand this? And again, kind of going back, why is it can affect their relationship with you in the future? So, what is UCC filing? Is that mandatory? Is that something that you guys come up with? Is that Kansas State? Is it every state? Why do we have to
It
deal with
It is every state. It is a lien that's filed at the state level with the Secretary of State, and basically as a lien. So what that means is that actually tells everybody, it's a matter of public records. Tells you that you as a company have a financial obligation, that you're working financially with a particular company. And again, this is to protect us as a factoring company, because so you can so people cannot just switch factoring company and then invoices are not going to be returned to us, the payments. And also then also when we are starting to work with you, we have to make sure that there is nobody else that is filed that has claim to the receivables of your company. And that is I think very important thing to kind of touch on, that as a dispatcher, as a new carrier, when you are you guys are probably receiving thousands of calls from different companies trying to get you to sign up. Sometimes you have to make sure that they are not going to file on you before you even sign up with them.
and tell them how often does it happen that you have a new carrier who said, well, I never had a factoring. You start going to paperwork and, well, I guess what, they already signed some paperwork, they don't even remember clicking, giving all the information, and they already have UCC filing with other company, and usually those terms are not the best terms, and a lot of times they're not even aware that they already partner up.
Unfortunately, that happens. Not everybody is transparent with that, and sometimes you can just fill out an application, or you can just inquire about some information, and that actually might result in a lien being filed against your company. So that is something that you should be very very careful about. Providing company information to
So
somebody that you're not very
if
familiar with.
that happens, can RTS help you, or they have to wait until that contract is expires, or what can we give as a recommendation? Because we had, you and me, we had a client, right? We did not have a clue that he already, but can RTS help or not really?
We in certain situations we can help. That really also depends on who that company is that filed on you. There are some companies that actually file under a masking company, so we cannot even tell who that was. So then we might need your help to even figure out who we are working with. And even like as even with sometimes bios, we don't always have to wait until the end of the contract. There are some companies that they will allow you to maybe pay a small fee and have that terminated. We might be able to help you with those costs by providing over advances, or small loans to help you get everything resolved. But we are going to also lean on you to provide us the information, to provide us the contact, so we might know who we have to go to. And there are going to be some companies that unfortunately we are not able to work with, because they're not easy to communicate with, they're not responsive, and we're going to need your help.
Okay. And the last question of today's live, because actually we almost an hour, even more, but we have a different backgrounds. we have people with different language as a first language. Can you tell me, is RTS has a strong presence when, for example, somebody wants to have Ukrainian representative, maybe Ukrainian from Uzbekistan, maybe somebody who speaks Romanian, maybe somebody who speaks Spanish. Do you guys offer that to make sure that your clients feel comfortable when they have to deal with maybe daily questions or some inquiries? It doesn't happen every day, but do you provide that?
Yes, we absolutely do provide. I think at this point we have more than 36 different languages that we service. Obviously, Spanish, Ukrainian, Russian, Uzbeki, Punjabi. Just to name the main ones. We do have Polish speaking. Yours truly, and I mean, Romanian, a lot of languages. I mean, we have been in this business for over 40 years, and we are very familiar with the market, and we try to service our customers the best that we can. So if we're able to accommodate you with your native language, which sometimes, even if you speak perfect English, sometimes more complicated and complex financial issues might be easier to explain in your native tongue, and we understand that, and we try to help you with that.
Okay. And before we kind of be done with this, first, we want to thank you for taking time, explaining
Thank you
everything.
so
Guys,
much.
put likes, put hearts, because Patricia answered everything very clear, very honestly. It was not pre-planned. She did not know the questions. Well, what is big growth for RTS? Do you guys add in extra things? Do you grow? Maybe we have viewers who are looking to be part of the RTS, maybe as a representative, maybe as a fuel card, I don't know, affiliate. What is it for 2027 for RTS? Since you've been with them for how long, Patricia? How long you've been
I
with them?
have I have been with RTS for over 18 years now. And yes, we are growing, we're expanding. We actually, have offices in several different states and several different cities. We have two offices in Chicago. We're in Philadelphia, Phoenix, Houston, Dallas. We recently opened an office in North Carolina. We are in Florida. We are always expanding. We're always growing. We probably, have other offices that we are going to open in the future. And I would always advise you to look at our website and see at our careers. We're always hiring, and send us
Okay.
your resume.
And also, well, you recently had a kind of new rebranding, right? So was that something like you decided, oh, we're gonna have new pictures, or it's more than just rebranding? Was there any changes for you as an employee, for you as a person who's been in sales for a long time? I mean, can you tell me a little bit? Is it just about the colors, or actually products change, culture change? What is actually changing?
I think with us growing and also growing the offering that we have, expanding the amount of services that we are giving, that we are offering, we just wanted to streamline everything and put everything under the one brand name, RTS. We are still the same. We're still the same company. We're still committed to you. We're still here.
Okay.
It's just easier for you to access everything and see everything under one big umbrella.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome you back to Chicago again, because we just saw you a few weeks ago. And again, we love having you. Thank you for taking your time on late hours today. And thank you, RTS, for being affiliated with Dispatch Training Center. I think, what, 5 years, 6 years now, maybe even more. I mean, we've been helping students, new companies, carriers to actually survive and grow. So thank you, Patricia. We'll see you again. And guys, make sure you share, put comments. We have the link. You can fill out the form and always say, well, I saw you, Patricia, on that YouTube live. You're not going to get better discount, but I know Patricia, she's going to go way extra mile, probably 10 miles, because that's kind of person she is. She's very kind. She's professional. She knows what she's doing. She's been doing it for 18 years. Love you, girl, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. I'm sure that Alex will provide you information on how you can contact me and get some more information.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And few more minutes before I'm going to finish this, everybody's asking when is the next dispatch training, and of course it's starting in September. After that we have our IFTA and safety class in lots of time, and I do believe that we are giving you proper education, we empower you, we also help you to grow, and a lot of times we might even help you to make a decision that not you want to hear, because a lot of times to be an owner of the company is different than being owner operator and work under somebody's MC. A lot of times being a company dispatcher is way different than running an independent dispatch service. But we are all here with one mission: change trucking for the better. I'll see you next Monday. Make sure you also comment who would you like to see on our Monday streams. We already had cybersecurity, we had RTS factoring, and of course, we are willing to bring other partners and other guests. I'll see you and have